speaking of interesting things, we'll go through, and there's been a divisive character that has arisen in baseball. Joe Kelly for the Dodgers.
He's an idiot.
He is the single greatest. He is the hero that we need, and the hero that we deserve.
He is everything that is wrong with baseball.
Hello, everyone. That came. Hello. I changed my mind halfway through what I was saying. Hello. Great to see you guys again for the next week of Sports Den, the podcast. I'm Ben. I've got Jonathan here as well, and we're ready to talk a little bit of sports. How you doing, Jonathan?
Doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty good. It's been hot in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 18. I think in places it got up to 120.
It's been triple digits here, and then
that was like it's miserable. Like it's one of those weird ones.
It's been triple digits here, and then 100% humidity. So it's been so bad that like water is leaking out of our air conditioning vents. As it condenses right as it's been awful.
Well, at least it doesn't evaporate as soon as it comes out, which is what
that's
happens
true.
Here.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, that kind of brings us into our first subject. We're going to start with baseball, and we would be remiss. We do have to kind of go into some of the big things that happen with baseball of the teams that have tested positive coming into things. And one of the big things that's been popped up is, why didn't baseball do a bubble? And the reason I wasn't really going to even go into this part, but we kind of set up a transition here that one of the areas that was suggested for as a bubble is Phoenix because of all the spring training facilities we have here. As I said, yesterday was 120. How many baseball players are going to want to play a game in 120?
Not a lot. Especially since they don't get to be in the air-conditioned dugout now. They have to be in the stands.
Yeah.
To social distance.
Yeah, unfortunately, bubble would never work. So if you hear anyone say no city, no area has enough baseball fields to actually let something become a bubble.
I wonder if maybe you could do regional bubbles. Maybe let every division play in a bubble. But that feels like a lot of work still.
It's a 3-hour game, and truthfully, the amount of grounds work that goes on those fields, they couldn't handle multiple games like that.
Yeah.
You'd be talking 4 games a day in one field. And that's just kind of the biggest thing. Like you could have 2 bubbles, one in Florida and one in Arizona, and that's the only 2 places that geographically could have it.
Because you'd have to, if you wanted to play that, you'd have to demand every team start Mark Burley and just.
Yeah, was that, and then just and then just the general quality of the fields as well.
Mm-hmm.
Even decent minor league fields are not up to the same quality.
Yeah, and you'd have to be playing on. I don't even know that you have. What city has enough minor league fields?
Well, no. So you just find some of the places in the Northeast where it may not be city, but it's not a long drive to.
Yeah, maybe.
All of kind of.
Yeah, I don't baseball, and to an extent, football is going to deal with this too. The roster sizes are too big to do a bubble.
You're going to have to travel. You're going to have to do all these things. Yeah, because you got a 40-man. But baseball does have different things. I know a lot of people are screaming, baseball is dead in 2 weeks. The commissioner actually has even said, if something doesn't change, we might have to I feel that they've got a lot of different things built in. A really underrated thing that came up recently was the new doubleheader rule.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
That's been a rule in the minor leagues for a while. Was 7-inning. If you have a scheduled doubleheader, it becomes 2 7-inning games. With just to kind of save on wear and tear, save on everything, and you can do that. You know, you get to a point needed, you can rock one of those a week.
Yeah.
In the end, towards the end of the year, if you need to start adding those things in there. So I think that's kind of coming into place. I also wonder mathematically if expanding the playoffs like they have, it could actually make individual games the need for every team to have played the same number of games could actually go away.
That's true.
Because you can run a point of, you know what? Okay, first and second goes in. Okay, you're 4 games behind. They played 2 games more. You know what? We can't come back. It's done. Those other extra games are a wash. So there's a lot of different options, I think, that are kind of built in. That allow different things to come through. So I don't think it's time to pull ripcord and the baseball season is going to get canceled, yet. It better not. I just paid for MLB TV to watch baseball games this year, so it better not get canceled on me.
Yeah. I think it's okay. Obviously it's bad. We don't want all, like 100% of the Florida Marlins organization to end up with the coronavirus like it looks like. And we could argue about why that happened and the stories of why. But yeah, we don't want that, but I don't think it's a death sentence for the season yet.
And then also there's a number with these they've got 60, and we talk about 40-man rosters. They're working on 60-man rosters.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got players that are actually not traveling with the team and they're not around there, but on there. So you've got, there are options and there are things kind of in place. So yeah, the rumors of baseball's death have been greatly exaggerated. Now next week we could be running into this and we could be saying it's all done because more could happen. But I don't think we're quite there yet. And there's too many good stories that are popping up now. I mean, as a Rockies fan, I'll take a little bit of bite. My team actually has pitching. I at no point in my life and I looked at it per win percentage wise. As of July 31st, the Rockies are tied for second best in baseball. At no point in my life have I ever seen this late or by July that the Rockies are tied for the best winning percentage in baseball, much less first place in the division.
Yeah.
Now it's a three-way tie with games things. But that will change one way or the other tonight. But that's kind of a crazy thing. There's been a lot of stuff, some teams that we thought were going to do a lot better haven't done as well as we kind of thought.
No.
And it's been
my team is on that end of the spectrum, I think.
It's also tough when you get one of those things where you get into one of the really, really good and really hot teams, and especially with this, we've only played 1 or 2 series. That creates some issues there. But there's been a few little surprises and other things. I really enjoy a lot of the little things that some of these teams have done with their cardboard cutouts.
Yeah, those are cool.
It has been fun to kind of watch as well, or more so hear and listen. All of the teams, the stadiums are still doing their best to maintain all the stadium sounds. So you still get the charge, sound effect. You get all the different sound effects. You get all the different things, which I think are kind of great. I'm watching the Rockies game, and at Coors Field, Charlie Blackmon's walk-up song is Tonight. And always when the loud tonight comes, the audio cuts and the entire stadium just yells tonight. They have recorded audio of the stadium yelling tonight. Mm-hmm. And that cuts in over there. So they're doing everything they can to keep it The PA announcements are coming. Rain delays are announced on the scoreboard.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically they're doing everything just like there are people there.
Yeah.
Even though they're not.
I like that. And we even see some of that in the NBA bubble with the big, what they have the fans that are in on their Zoom screens and showing them reacting on the big screen in there. I think it's a little cheesy and corny, but it's better than nothing.
It is cheesy and corny. It's one of those weird things that, you know what, it's cheesy and corny, but you know what? With all of sports this season is we can do stuff that's cheesy and corny.
Yeah. The thing about baseball that's really throwing me off right now is with no fans in the stadium, every time a ball hits the catcher's glove, it sounds like it's triple digits. And every time someone makes contact, I think it's going 460 feet. Like, so because there's no fans to absorb that sound.
Yes. Yeah. A little bit of that. Slightly an interesting thing. We're going to kind of get there a little bit, but just when we're talking about the no fan thing, I saw something with hockey, actually is what's allowing them to, we're going to get to hockey a little bit later, but that's a lot of work on ice to play 3 games in a day.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work on an ice surface, but because there are no fans, the average temperature of arenas have dropped like 20 degrees.
Oh, wow.
Because the body heat from fans warms it up. So the ice is actually staying cooler.
That's crazy. But, I mean, it makes total sense.
Yeah, like it makes total sense. So it's going to be kind of interesting. So there's that kind of a thing going on. But speaking of interesting things, we'll go through, and there's been a divisive character that has arisen in baseball. Joe Kelly for the Dodgers.
He's an idiot.
He is the single greatest. He is the hero that we need, and the hero that we deserve.
He is everything that is wrong with baseball.
He maybe has gone a little bit too far, but I really truly think that I know a lot of people rip the unwritten rules of baseball thing and baseball policing themselves. It's something I do really like, especially when it's rules that are pretty they're not arbitrary. They're not like, oh, you know what, did you nick the line on the way up? No, not stuff like that. But no, as we've had discussion, bunting to break up a no-hitter. No, that's clearly, that's against the rules. That's against the unwritten rule. You bunt to break up a no-hitter.
That unwritten rule was made by a pitcher who doesn't like losing because he's a little baby.
No, you're wearing one because that's not right, because it cheapens that. There's a respect that's supposed to be had between people. And I think that's kind of one of the biggest sides of it. Now, again, I think things go before I'm going to plunk you for showboating, but I can showboat all I want as a pitcher. I've got issues, issues.
That's my real problem with Joe Kelly in all this is the absolute hypocrisy. First off, the only reason he started throwing it at people was he couldn't find the strike zone to save his life anyway. So he then starts throwing it at people and then throwing it at people's ribs when they're on the base path and all that. And if he actually cared about the integrity of the game, he would be turning in his World Series ring because he was on the 18 Red Sox, who also got busted for the same thing.
If it's going to take someone like Joe Kelly to actually step up, it's the commissioner messed up. The commissioner put everyone in situation. Players should have been suspended. Whether we needed to stagger those suspensions and different things, however they needed to do it, fine. But you know what? That didn't happen.
Yeah, I am on record 100% agreeing with you. I'm on record of saying if before we knew if they cheated or not, I said, and again, Astros fan, big time Astros fan, and I said, I'm on record, I wanted 162 game suspensions.
But
but immunity is one of the stupidest things, and this is proof that Rob Manfred is one of the stupidest individuals in our society right now. he has been completely inept at every phase of being a commissioner. In everything he has done, he has yet to make a good decision, even with this suspension, which I think is warranted.
It's so you can even, I mean, I'll give you warrants. I mean, again, people can't go around making threats that they're going to throw at people and then go and do it. Like, he can't do that. But 8 games. And 8 games, we got to keep in mind, though, that as we said before, in a season that's weird where all the rules are out there and all the craziness is there, you got to keep in mind that 8 games is 20% of the season.
Yeah.
It's, sorry, so it's 13% of the season. This is the equivalent of a 21-game suspension.
Yeah, I get that too, but where do we draw the line with – so, again, I don't know where I fall on this because on the one hand, 8 games is what it normally is for this. 8 games is what we've normally been doing in the last few years, which is, by the way, one of the only good things that I think Manfred has done is he's tried to legislate out some of these intentional hit by pitches, because just imagine, who was it that the Marlins started just so he could hit Ronald Acuna Jr.?
Oh yeah,
Like that was the dirtiest moment in sports history.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, one of the dirtiest, and it was one of the cheapest and most childish things I've ever seen in sports, where just because a guy is doing better than you and you have no answer for him, you hit him.
Yeah.
And you start a guy just to hit him.
And those are the ones, and going back to the unwritten rules, like those are the ones that do bug me. Like I said, there are. I remember, as a kid, I was taught about the unwritten rules of baseball.
Yeah.
My dad taught me them. My coaches taught me them. I mean, I was taught even the silly one, even some of the silly ones, but the silly ones that are no, you do not step on the foul line.
Yeah. You
don't do it. You don't step on the pitcher's mound if you're not the pitcher. Like, there's little things that are taught to kids. So even those, but then other stuff of like, no, you grow up learning. Like, no, you don't talk during a no-hitter. Mm-hmm. If someone around you, now I know that's a fan thing, but like, but there's these little parts of these rules of baseball, and you discover that there are certain rules that, if you break these rules, you'll get plunked because you cheapened out on, you showed the person you're against lack of respect. And that was kind of the point of it, was these rules are built around that we respect each other. We respect other people's accomplishments. When there's a reason why when a pitcher throws a no-hitter in an opposing team's, stadium, all the fans, whether it's a rival or not, all the fans stand up, clap, because they know they just witnessed something special. Most of the opposing team will give a clap because they know they were witnessed something special, because there's a respect there. So when you do stuff like bunting to break up it's known that that's the punishment for it. But these little things of like, no, you did better. You slightly showed me up. No, you're talking about an arbitrary thing. There's nothing arbitrary about bunting to break up a no-hitter. There's nothing arbitrary about throwing a curveball to a reliever.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing arbitrary about those things. That's you did or you didn't. I don't have to judge of whether or not you should. No, you did a thing. You crossed a line, and we have built-in rules and punishments for it. And I get kind of one of those things that I'm going to look at this of, well, you cheated. You cheated. Not arbitrarily, you cheated, and you weren't punished. So now it's on and I don't know what the correct answer is, how long it needs to go through. I do not want to see, and I've talked to some friends that whatever they get, I do not want to see the Astros getting beamed all season. I absolutely don't want to see that. There's no. Actually, one of the biggest things with this Kelly thing is, despite it all, he came back and he struck him out. Like, yeah, that's the biggest win that he has right there, is he struck him out. Like, no, and then that was kind of that was what he's yelling about. Like, you just struck out. Like, you struck out. You lost.
Yeah.
Um,
The issue I have is this we're conflating two issues which really aren't. The issues are everyone is mad the Astros didn't get punished. Even me as an Astros fan, I'm mad the Astros didn't get punished. But that is a separate issue from the player safety issue that is what intentional hit by pitches are becoming. We saw Giancarlo Stanton lose so much time a few years ago from an 82-mile-an-hour slider. Like,
yeah.
Joe Kelly was throwing in the 90s at people's heads.
Well, the headshot was a curveball.
No, the first one to Bregman was a 90-mile-an-hour, and then he was thrown at his ribs 4 straight times. He threw so far at his ribs on those pickoff moves that the first baseman couldn't stay on first.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was having to jump off because he was intentionally trying to get his first baseman to miss so he could hit him in the ribs.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know what though? I get thrown at Correa. Correa's a punk. Like, I get that one. It's the Alex Bregman one bothers me a little bit because he was the first Astro to come out and apologize. He told everything they did. He did all those things. And he has not opened up his mouth one time as he has been plunked all these times over the preseason and everything. And then even when Joe Kelly threw at his head, he didn't look mean. He didn't do anything. He went, okay, that's my punishment. And he walked to first. And I think Bregman deserves a pass. The idiots that were trying to hit Jordan in the early spring training, the dude wasn't even in the majors at that point when the cheating was going on. Like, he wasn't even in the majors. I get that he plays for him, but then maybe throw at Marwin Gonzalez and all the other guys that are not on the Astros now that won a championship too. I think the reason this was such a big deal was the only reason Kelly threw it at him was because he was already behind 3-0.
Yeah, that was a thing. I would much rather not have. If you're gonna throw at somebody, you better be able to be accurate, because you better be able to. If you're gonna throw at someone in the ribs, you better be sure you can hit them in the ribs.
Yeah, so that's a big deal for me. Like, Joe Kelly is not the most accurate person in baseball.
I mean, he missed a barn.
I mean, he literally, this is the guy that put a hole in his window over the offseason pitching of his house because he couldn't hit what he was trying to throw at. So let's also put that in perspective. But like, if I am going to have someone I'm okay with intentionally hitting guys, and I think it's okay to throw at people's ribs and their elbows. Like, I do. I think it's okay sometimes. But this will become baseball's concussion issue if we have people continuing to throw at people's heads. And some guys, I don't even want them throwing at someone's ribs unless you're like Zach Greinke, like that type of accurate.
Yeah, at the biggest thing, you gotta free the guy. You can't suspend a guy for 8 more games than the people that cheated. Like, you can't. It's set up. Everything was set up poorly. I will actually put a big issue, and I'll slightly giving commissioner a pass. Umpire messed up.
Umpire should have tossed him after the first.
You catch it, you get it, or you understand the situation. You understand this guy's going through it. You know what? Even letting it go the first time. But once he starts trying to chuck and hit something there, the umpire probably should have tossed him, and we could have had the same thing all through, and he would still be a hero. But
he would still all those things. He would have been tossed, and it wouldn't have been an issue, and they wouldn't have had to suspend him.
Yeah, umpire lost control of that game, was there. But we need to move on to basketball. Opening day was yesterday. We had 2 games yesterday. Had a few games today.
Yeah.
It's back. I like the atmosphere. I do enjoy the atmosphere.
I really do. Some of the play has been really sloppy.
It has. I mentioned in our chat,
especially offensive timing
yeah.
on passes and cut work. We've seen a lot more fouls than normal, and
Steve Foster did ref one.
Yeah, on the one hand, the Lakers Clippers game was Scott Foster was a ref, and every time he refs, he blows the whistle about 200 times more than he should, because this man is the most egotistical person on the planet, and he thinks people pay all the money to watch basketball to watch him blow his whistle. So that's a little bit of an outlier, but for a lot of these, the reason is people's timing is so off that they're not able to be where they want to be because they haven't played competitive basketball in 4.5 months. So what's crazy about all this is I expect next year to be one of the most lightning quick starts to a season for a lot of these guys, because they will have only had a month off.
Yeah.
Some of them. I mean, because the finals is going to go into October.
Finals are going to go. It's going to be interesting. I'll be interested to see what June looks like next year.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some people worn down a little bit. I really think LeBron is going to have to pull a Kawhi Leonard and do some serious load management next year.
There's going to be a lot of them. It's going to be very, very interesting on that. But yeah, no, I mean, we talk about I mentioned in our chat that I thought there were times it looked like rec gym play.
There were,
because you could clearly tell the talent of everyone, but no one really knew how to play together.
Yeah. So it was really obvious with the Jazz and Pelicans game, because those
even the talent, that was more. I mean, how many brick and just horribly missed 3-point shots did we see in that game? It was just.
And then pointless turnovers from just bad communication. Yeah. The Jazz and Pelicans are also, I think, while they were playing, one of the announcers, I think, said that those teams were number 1 and number 2 of the teams in the bubble in turnovers per game. And it really showed. And it really showed, because they are turnover prone to begin with. The Pelicans, because they're a really young team, and the Jazz, because outside of Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell, who aren't all that excellent either, no one else really dribbling is part of their game.
Yeah.
On those teams. So it's a little rough. It was a little rough. But I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's hilarious that Rudy Gobert is the man that shut down all sports, and he was the first person to score in the restart.
And the game winner.
And the game-winning free throws, which, I mean, at least all the games have been close. I guess the Suns game wasn't all that close, but most of the games have been pretty close. We've had some great games. We went to overtime with the Grizzlies and Blazers, and as someone in the Memphis area, League Pass blackouts are awful. And Commissioner Silver, I know you're listening to this podcast. Not really, but please do something about regional blackouts for people who are not necessarily fans of the Memphis Grizzlies, but I am a fan of basketball, and I would like to watch Ja Morant, please.
Yeah. Blackouts are awful.
I didn't mind it so much when I could buy tickets.
Yeah. It goes through, and actually that kind of gets us there. Do you have anything else you want to add about the NBA?
Nah, we'll skip over that, just like a lot of people are skipping over that Lou Williams went and bought wings.
It's all his. Hey, good chicken. as someone who loves chicken wings, I mean, if you find the people that make chicken wings correctly, all right,
Mm-hmm.
we'll hunt those down.
Hey, well, honestly, you come visit me. This is not a sponsorship, but we need to go. There's a great chicken wing place in Memphis. If you ever come visit,
All right.
I'll take you to. Great chicken wing place. All right.
All right. But so we're going to move on then a little bit to hockey. We don't talk as much hockey. We'll be talking hockey soon. We've got some new people that you guys are going to get to introduce to, and one of them will let me talk. Will talk hockey with me, so I'm excited. But actually, hockey has really gotten through. We talked about opportunities to watch sports and everything. Hockey has given everyone the best opportunity.
Yeah.
Because hockey has reached out with their League Pass, NHL.tv, and it's $4.99, I believe, a month for the rest of the thing. And you can watch, blackout restrictions apply, you can watch all of the games. So if you kind of wanted to get into hockey, that's your chance. $4.99, like, do it. Do it.
All right. So can you help me out here? All right. So I am a generalist hockey fan. I think hockey's super entertaining to watch. And I watch, highlights. Hockey's just not on TV a whole lot, so I don't get to watch as much. I need to pick a favorite team. Generally, I pick Houston sports teams. The Seattle team looks kind of interesting from their logo, the Kraken. I think that's a great. I love it.
The logo's fantastic.
The logo's fantastic. I love the branding. I do think here's my one thing. I want you to point me in a good direction. My biggest gripe with Houston sports, especially this year, is our coaching universally awful. Bill O'Brien is the dumbest coach in the history of pro football. Okay, I take that back. Freddie Kitchens did exist. But the dumbest multi-year coach in the history of pro football. Mike D'Antoni has put together one of the dumbest rosters, like the dumbest roster choices ever. Because I said earlier before we started recording that NBA-wise, it's really dumb to play any lineup where only one of the players in the lineup is an above-average player. It's doubly dumb when none of those players are above average in league height.
Is there. But so if you're asking,
and then of course AJ Hinch was so dumb he got himself suspended for a year. So this has been a bad year for Houston coaching.
For the best coach. But here's another thing I've gathered from you. Mm-hmm. Also, if you have Sports In Bingo, that was Jonathan just complaining about a coach. So if you have Jonathan complains about a coach, you just got bingo. But I did not have that actually, so I didn't get bingo that go around. But I don't know if there's any coach that I can truly say is a great, the oh my goodness coach. I think teams are there. But they definitely go lean more players. There are some bad coaches in hockey for sure. But a lot of it just kind of comes into mindsets. Hockey coaching, I think, it's a lot more behind the scenes.
Yeah.
In practice, I feel like, than in-game strategy.
For sure.
You change it up when, to keep guys. Yeah, there's bad coaching where you left guys out there far too long. It was bad coaching that drove Patrick Waugh away from the Canadiens.
Yeah.
You left the guy in as he had no defense and was just getting shelled, and you left him in, and so he said, "Fine, get me out of here."
Yeah.
Like that. These things happen. Speaking of bad coaches, you had Patrick Waugh, who had some struggling as a coach. So it's hard for me to go with that. I mean, the biggest thing I'd say, find teams that are young, good, and up and coming. I'm not trying to send you and push you to the Avalanche, but they're young and really good.
I will say some of the teams that have interested me. I've always liked when I got into hockey, it was through hockey video games, and it was when New Jersey was really good.
No, don't stay away from New
And
Jersey.
so, and then I have my best friend in high school was from Michigan, massive Red Wings fan. So, and then I've
Our
been to
friendship
Red
will
Wings.
end. Our friendship will end.
Okay, so no Red Wings.
No Red Wings.
And then super interested in how Vegas made that huge turnaround right after being I almost picked Vegas because they were just the newest team.
Vegas is an interesting team. I like Vegas. Vegas kind of has the opposite of the Kraken, where they've got a really cool name that works really, really well for their city, but their branding and uniforms are dumb.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the opposite. Actually, a team that you might want to check out is Kyle's pick for Stanley Cup champions, actually. Accidental pick that he made. He said the Hartford Whalers were his pick, but the Carolina Hurricanes.
Okay.
They're kind of a fun team to kind of go follow around. They've got a really kind of fun atmosphere. Their nickname is the Bunch of Jerks because a podcast because of their fun juvenile ways. Analysts called them a bunch of jerks, and so they just embraced the Bunch of Jerks moniker. They haven't done as well this year as I expected them to do, but they're kind of somewhat in ways. It's another really interesting thing. It's actually the most fun thing in hockey. I can't even fully explain how it all was working. But these play-in games, these seeding games, it's going to be really, really interesting. If you can get a video, find a YouTube video that can explain to you how these brackets and these seedings and these play-in stuff works with draft picks and stuff like that. There's a lot of really, really cool stuff happening right now, but just find it. It's a great sport to watch. I highly recommend it. I'm excited that it's starting back. I'm really ready for it. And again, it's $4.99 a month. Like you can't.
Breaking news right now. The Rockets made a comeback and we're going into overtime tied at 139 after 4 quarters. Breaking news right now. But yeah, I agree with you on a lot of those things. I think hockey's I almost secretly perversely enjoy it because I don't have to be a fan of the team right now. My mom's from St. Louis, so I got to really enjoy that Stanley Cup run and watch all of my mom's friends and family be happy. But I don't feel any emotional connection to that team. And so but there's all sorts of stuff. There's all sorts of stuff with that. I am really looking forward to when it comes back. I'm really looking forward to it. I think hockey making NHL.TV available for that low of a price is great, especially considering they have the worst TV deal in the history of sports right now. So I think that's a great decision. Speaking of
little things that happen, because actually, I mean, there's still weird TV right deal things that are kind of going on locally as far as blackout stuff and goes, but VPNs exist.
Yep.
But
speaking of D contracts.
Yeah. Yes. Patrick Mahomes Patrick Mahomes down?
Patrick Mahomes has been the only person having a good year in 2020.
What if he like made some weird deal? I'm not gonna say with the devil, but like, what if he made some weird deal where like he said, I get all the good and everyone else has to suffer, and he said, I'm okay with that. He is this could be my Broncos fan inside of me that's coming out.
This 100% is your Broncos fan coming out. And I'm not a Chiefs fan, but I grew up. I did go to high school in Southern Missouri, and so lots of Chiefs fan friends. And the amount of joy that they had was just amazing. And I almost felt happy by osmosis. I can tell you, I definitely did not feel happy second round of playoffs. As Bill O'Brien had the largest coaching malfunction of all time. Granted, we weren't going to do much with our secondary that beat up. Mm-hmm. But it was real bad secondary. And it's why I don't feel so great about your quarterback, because his only good game was against our secondary when we were more beat up than when we gave up all those points to the Chiefs in the playoffs. So, but I really like Patrick Mahomes. For those who don't know, Patrick Mahomes is 24 years old. And not only does he completely own the San Francisco 49ers on the field, off the field, now he owns the Kansas City Royals. Well, at least a small part of them.
He is the second, according to this. So I found a list as far as the youngest owners, partial owners of a professional sports team. So when Aaron Rodgers was 34, he purchased a stake in the Milwaukee Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
When Steve Nash was 34, there are a lot of MLS teams on this list. Mm-hmm. Steve Nash purchased at 34 some of the Vancouver Whitecaps. Mario Lemieux at 33 purchased some of the Pittsburgh Penguins, which was good. It was really cool. Kevin Durant owns a portion of the Philadelphia Union. He bought 5%. And when he was 31, James Harden owns a portion of the Houston Dynamo and Dash.
Yeah.
At 29. At 29, the Williams sisters invested into the Miami Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
Yao Ming at 28 was the Shanghai Sharks. I don't know how much that counts.
Yao Ming is a majority owner, though. That's like a big difference.
It's a major leagues, China.
The second most profitable basketball league in the world.
Because it's China. But LeBron James owns a 2% stake in Liverpool FC. He bought that at 26.
He was older when he did, but Garnett owns part of Liverpool as well.
Yeah. So, and the only person to have owned any portion of that it's associated, according to this list, and this list is from CBS.sports, CBSSports.com. The youngest somewhat athlete or person associated with an athlete is Alexis Olympia Ohana Jr., who owns a portion of the Angel City FC. She is the daughter of Serena Williams and is currently 2 years old.
I don't believe that counts.
By far the youngest of a group. I mean, she youngest owner of anything. There's something there. But yeah, it's kind of crazy there. And when we say stuff like owners, especially that, it's kind of, you got to keep everything in perspective as far as team ownership. Because when you say these things, and as much money as you think some of these players have, and they are stupid rich, they're nowhere near ever really becoming a majority owner.
Yeah, so let's just put that in perspective. Forbes just released today their most valuable teams list. And I believe it's only was talking about North American sports.
No, if you scroll further down, 6. The lower levels have the soccer clubs.
Okay, so in that case, but your top three are the Dallas Cowboys at $5.6 billion, and then the New York Yankees at $5.5 billion, and then the New York Knicks at $5 billion. Like, I mean,
that was billion. I don't know.
That was with a B.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, over the entirety of his career, and I think including endorsements, is sitting at like $14 million.
So the number that I found on another website, that a 1% stake in the Royals, 1%. So you barely have a seat at the voting table. A 1% stake would be valued at around $10 million. From the Chiefs, from only the Chiefs, so not counting any endorsements or anything like that, but only the Chiefs, he has made $13 million.
Yeah.
So it's either a purchase to own or he owns less than 1%. So we need to keep that in mind. And you even think about that giant contract of him is, this stupid large contract. Now, even if he does collect all of it, which no football player ever does, even if he does collect all of it, he still can barely be considered a major minority owner.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see all of his money in.
What happened with what was the last major sports team to sell?
It's when even then that's what these Forbes numbers are weird. I think these Forbes numbers are low because what the Clippers are a big one. The little brother of Los Angeles that doesn't include a stadium or an arena. It didn't. Most teams you buy include arena.
Yeah.
Clippers did not include arena.
Mm-hmm.
And it still sold for $2 billion.
Yeah. And then the Rockets sold for 1.9 because Leslie Alexander was selling it to his buddy.
Yeah.
Essentially. Because he accepted the lower offer because he was selling it to his buddy.
And it's kind of one of those things also, like speaking there, because one of the things that we've talked about before, it looks like that the Timberwolves might be selling and that KG thinks he's going to be a part of it. If your dream is for your favorite sports star to come back as an owner, in 2020, that's just not possible anymore unless they become famous outside. LeBron could very well come back as an owner because of how much money he's making outside of basketball.
And if you don't think that's LeBron's end goal, you are wrong.
Like how is Michael Jordan able to become a majority owner? Because of what he did outside of basketball.
Because of all those underwear commercials he's in and because he owns a shoe brand.
Yeah, Magic Johnson, for everything that we like talk about with Magic Johnson with the Dodgers, he's a minority owner.
Mm-hmm.
As rich and powerful as he seems to be and everything, he can't be a majority. He cannot be a majority owner. So owners are crazy. That's just kind of a crazy stat to kind of think about. But it's still really cool because now but the other thing that you can always keep in mind is wait for the next renovation project at Lambeau Field and you can become an owner of an NFL team.
Yeah. Because they're public.
Because it's public, you get a little certificate, you can hang it on your wall, and it involves no voting rights or dividends. So basically, you're just going to go ahead and give them $100. In exchange, you actually get to say "we" whenever the Packers do anything, and no one can get mad at you. And if anyone ever starts to say, "Oh, really? Were you on the team?" No, but I'm an owner, so
yeah.
But anyway, I think we've kind of held you guys up and talked to you guys for plenty of time here.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you wanted to add about the world of sports?
The world of sports being back is great. For all the awkwardness that we saw with some bad play, for the awkward hiccups coming back, some drama with some politics in sports, none of that matters to me right now because sports is back. And
I can ignore all the problems because sports are here.
Yeah.
Problems like your closer blowing a save.
Problems like, okay, you know what? I was going to say problems like your team cheating and winning the World Series, but I can't do that. No, that one's still looming pretty large. But you know what? I'm so happy about sports coming back that I forgive Bill O'Brien for the DeAndre Hopkins trade.
No, you don't.
Yeah, that was a lie too.
No,
Never mind. But you know what? Hey, some things are never going to change. We'll see you guys next week.
See you next week. Bye.